Well, howdy there, partner. How are y'all doing? Welcome to Doodle Talk episode 7. All you doodles and doodlers out there, you schemers and dreamers, you big players, you big mamas, you fat daddies. How are you guys doing? Welcome back. This is episode 7. I'm almost starting to lose count sometimes, so I have to look at what I wrote down to remember which episode it is, which I think that's that's cool. That's a cool thing. This is lucky number 7 in the year of the rabbit. I mean, it just doesn't get any luckier than that unless I was on episode 777, which, I mean, who knows, right? 12 years from now, if I stop doing it for a while, come back, return to the pod, it's like episode 777 in, what would that be? It's 2023, so 12, so 35, 2035 or 34. I don't know which way that would work. I mean, that would be the only way that it could be a luckier episode. So let's let's just be glad that we got this lucky episode right here, and let's jump into everything. Keeping up with everything I've been up to lately. Got a lot of stuff actually to talk about, so let's jump right into it. The first thing, cool little thing, is my buddies. And I shouted them out before, but my buddies over at the Ramen Bowl. This is actually a play mat, desk mat that I designed. And for Christmas, they took my design and because I had been making it for everyone, some of my buds who wanted to get this custom mat made, and I wanted one too, but the place they're getting manufactured and shipped out and stuff is in America, and I didn't know at the time, but they do international shipping. So for Christmas, they kind of surprised me and got that mocked up. Well, kind of surprised me, but by letting me know they wanted to do it. And I just got it the other day. It's super awesome. So thank you to all my homies over there at the Ramen Bowl. They're still killing it, still doing great things. They have a podcast. Like I mentioned before, talking a lot about like games and like anime and lots of different stuff, but they aren't currently doing the podcast right now, but they are still doing a lot over at Twitch, and they're doing a lot for the TCG community, especially One Piece. Doing lots of cool things, lots of big things. I'm actually super stoked, and they got some stuff in development right now. I'm gonna be doing lots of stuff with big tournaments and doing some judging at competitions and stuff like that. So shout outs to I know Brandon, Brock, and Omen are doing that, so shout outs to you guys. Keep doing your thing. I mean, I know not too many people love TCGs and stuff, trading card games and doing it competitively, but it's super fun. So if you've never tried, if you've always wanted to, One Piece is a great game to get started on that too, honestly. So yeah, if you're interested, or if you are a big TCG person, check out the Ramen Bowl over on Twitch, because they've streamed tournaments before, commentated, they'll be judging, lots of new stuff coming out. So yeah, keep an eye on that. And thank you guys for the mat. But the other thing here that I want to talk about too is I watched the new Wednesday show, the new Addams Family show from Tim Burton on Netflix, and I finished it the other day. And you know what? I actually thought it was pretty good. I know it's actually been, as far as I can see, like pretty well received. And I wasn't sure going into, like, it looked cool. I was like, oh, it looks pretty cool. Like the person, Jenna Ortega, who plays Wednesday, is like amazing. So, and she does a really good job portraying Wednesday. So I was like, yeah, it's probably going to be pretty good. But you know what? It kind of surpassed my expectations, which is always nice. I'm not gonna lie, I love Tim Burton. Most of his stuff is really awesome, but I had pretty low expectations going in. I mean, I love Addams Family are cool. I love that aesthetic, that vibe, that universe they live in is just really cool, and that's actually the The main thing that I was able to like enjoy is like, you know, that it's kind of like a silly universe already. Like crazy things happen. It's not really super based in real life, whereas like, you know, there's like monsters and stuff like that. It's like not out of the ordinary. So that actually let me like, I have a hard time sometimes suspending my belief to let a show, like it'll become a fault that I find where it's like, oh, why would that happen? That's so stupid. And like, you know, sometimes that's bad writing or like bad editing, production, whatever. But sometimes it's just me being like, I guess a little biased, or just like not being able to suspend my belief for that show or whatever it is that I'm watching, which can be bad sometimes. But you know, I think a lot of people would agree on some other like contrived shows or parts of shows like that it's kind of up down to it's the creator's fault at some point, you know. But besides a few weird kind of awkward scenes and like kind of like, I don't know, not like super duper woke kind of stuff, but just like some weird stuff where it's like you feel like it's like Tim Burton, the producers or something in Netflix were like, Tim, it's great, but could you throw in TikTok a little bit more, or like I don't know, I'm just assuming things, but I get kind of turned off whenever a show like talks about something too like super current, like in the zeitgeist, where it's not like you know, it's not like a, I don't know, I don't even know how to put it into words, but yeah, it's kind of weird when you like hear a person in the Addams Family universe being like, I'm gonna post this to TikTok later and get all the views. I don't know, it's just weird. Like, no shade, no hate on TikTok. Like I use it sometimes, but yeah, that was just weird. But besides all that, like I said, like Jenna Ortega is freaking amazing. She's like, it's kind of like Walter White. Like you don't like, Walter White is Walter White. You can't imagine the actor outside of that role, you know? Like, I mean, you can, I guess, like Malcolm in the Middle and stuff too, but he, like, some characters have that role where it's like they do such a good job that like I don't know who Jenna Ortega is. It's just Wednesday Addams for me, you know? And like that's awesome for a story and stuff. Like, bad, I guess, if you get pigeonholed like that, but I'm sure if she did something else, she would be just as amazing. But yeah, so pretty good. I give it a 5 out of 7 for sure. pretty solid. And yeah, one more quick thing that's gonna kind of lead into the topic that I have for today. The other day, I went to this exhibition in Ginza, which is in Tokyo, a nice city in Ginza, where every time I go, I feel like I'm too poor to be in that city. It's really nice, like kind of nice metropolitan, but like not too nice to the point where you're just like, God, I need to get out of here. It's just like, damn, would be nice to kind of live here if I had like tons of money. But no, they do a lot of like art exhibits and stuff over there. But we went to this one that was for Animage and Ghibli, Studio Ghibli. And it was like a combo exhibition that they put on. And now if you don't know, I'm sure you know Studio Ghibli, the animation studio. But for those who don't know, Animage was an anime and entertainment magazine that was established in 1978. And they basically did tons of work, like publishing like articles, editorials on all the anime that was coming out, all the movies. They got into a lot of entertainment, so like voiceover artists, they did have a whole branch with like doing voiceovers, like working with voiceover artists and stuff like that, like other people in entertainment, actors and all that kind of stuff. So not just anime, but like centered a lot around anime and manga. They actually, like Hayao Miyazaki, before he made the Nausicaa movie, he published the manga in that magazine, which I think I mentioned in the video where I went over Nausicaa, the manga, and some of the Miyazaki works that inspired me. Speaking of which, you can see in the background, I got a Wind Rises poster at the exhibition because that's my favorite movie of all time. And this is actually the Scent of Hong Kong. I hope you guys can see this okay. This is the Scent of Hong Kong poster that I got when I went to that Little Thunder exhibit. That I forgot I had that poster. From when I moved, I put everything away and hadn't really gotten around to finish decorating the walls and stuff. But once I got the Wind Rises poster, I was like, that'd be cool to go next to it. So yeah, I got that behind me. Yeah, sorry for that little tangent, but like the exhibition was amazing. It was super cool. I was really stoked to go, but like just because I love Ghibli and I know Animage, like I really like Animage, but man, do I have like a newfound respect for Animage and like what they do. Because like the exhibition was mainly like showcasing the work done by Animage over the years, with an emphasis on a lot of the Ghibli movies that they like kind of like, I guess you could say, like collaborated with, like did a lot of like publications for and promoted and stuff. Like a lot of the earlier Ghibli movies, they made like little packages, or like they had like little soda that was like Castle in the Sky soda, or like Totoro playing cards and all that kind of stuff. So it was really cool. And like the main thing was like I wasn't going in expecting to like see like too much into how much actually goes into making the magazine and stuff, because I didn't really know for sure like exactly what the exhibition was going to be. But you learn about like the process and the workflow, and like who, like from the creator and the founder, and like how they put the magazine together. And it was in a fun way that wasn't like just super boring of like, it was founded in 1978 and then this person made an article, and then they made a million articles after that, and then that's it. Like there was lots of cool, like, of course, Leave It to Japan and like artists to just make like sick, like there's lots of stuff I couldn't take pictures of, but I'll be showing while I'm talking here like a lot of the pictures that I was able to take while I was there. But you know, there was cool stuff, like there's like tidbits from all the Ghibli movies that they helped, like that they did stuff with that as they were produced throughout the years. And it was really cool because there was lots of stuff from like Gundam, like OG, like Gundam, the Gunpla, the models and stuff from like, I don't even know, I'd have to say like at least this 50s and 60s. Well, I forgot when the first like Gundam came out, but like they had it in the box, where it's like this box is like yellow and old, and it just looks like it's been in your grandma's attic for like 50 years, and they took it out for this exhibit. But it was super awesome, you know. So they had Gundam, Macross, Sherlock Hound, which I love Sherlock Hound so much because I love Sherlock Holmes. That's like one of my favorite like fictional characters of all time, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He's just an amazing writer, and I love all those books. And you mix Miyazaki making like a dog version of Sherlock Holmes, making it Sherlock Hound, like I don't know, it's amazing. Some of that art is some of my favorite too. And then there was like some Lupin stuff too, because they had the Lupin, the Castle of Cagliostro, which is actually Miyazaki's first movie that he directed before he did Nazca. And that's when he started working with Isao Takahata, who was the other main director from Ghibli, and Toshio Suzuki, who became the co-founder and producer of Ghibli. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah, I mean, besides that, there's lots of cool statues, miniatures. They had like room setups where it was like, one was like a desk that one of the editors would have worked at, and then they had like a room where it was like a room back in the 70s or 80s, like just memorabilia and stuff that they would have had there. It was super cool. But you know, the main thing that I loved seeing, and like I nerded out on so hard just by myself while looking at this, was they had the Nazca manga. They had a page of the manuscript that Miyazaki did, and they had like 3 different things. They had like the legit like original like paper that Miyazaki did. You could see the red like rough pencils underneath the ink that he laid down, and it was like, oh my gosh, it was so crazy. It's so crazy seeing it up close. They had that. Then they had like the I forgot, like the copied version of that, like the scanned version of that, and then they had the like basically what it would have looked like in the magazine when it was published. I believe those were like the 3 different versions that they had. But like just looking at the original manuscript one was like so crazy. And I know I'm not alone in this, but like this is definitely just me kind of like nerding out super duper hard. But it was like, I mean, like you know, it's kind of like a museum walkthrough kind of thing. So it's not a line, but there's still people. But I had to like force myself to leave because I was just like looking over the glass, like looking at it, like, oh my gosh, you can see like all the little details, and like, is that just pencils? Like, did he actually ink over it? Like, oh, you can see like whether he's like white out or like something like that. Just, you know, like super nerdy manga stuff that was just like so amazing and pretty funny because I was literally just talking about the Nazca manga like 2 episodes ago, I believe. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It was super inspiring. And like, not only that, they had this like life-size statue of Nazca that was like so crazy and like super lifelike, which was really cool to see. And they had lots of other stuff. They had like the castle in the sky, the castle from Castle in the Sky, and like the scene where they're like flying in the little airplane thing that they have with the little carriage. But I mean, yeah, that was super cool. And they had, at the very end, they had like all the magazines like lined up on the wall that you could see like through the years, all the publications, and then a lot of all the posters of like the Ghibli and other movies that they've like gone over and worked on and stuff. And it was so cool. I mean, if you're watching this and you're in Japan, if you have a chance, you should definitely go. You have to make a reservation, but I think it's still up for a little while. So I know that's not going to apply to most of you guys, but man, it was so cool. And who knows, something like that could definitely come to like North America at some point. So like always keep your eyes out for something like that. But yeah, like another thing too is I thought the magazine had finished because I'd known about Animage for a while, but I believe they just started like an online publication in 2007 and started focusing primarily on that, away from like physical production of magazines and stuff, which is always sad. It's always sad to see, you know, but you got to do what you got to do and you got to go with the times. But I was so inspired and motivated to like just keep pushing myself doing this and like other art stuff that I want to do. And kind of like seeing, especially because, you know, they do mention like the founding of Studio Ghibli with so Toshio Suzuki was one of the editors at Animage, and he basically worked a lot with Takahata and Miyazaki on like different movies that they were producing, like the Lupin movie for Miyazaki, and I'm sorry, I forgot the other one for Takahata that he was mainly involved in. And like basically they're coming together during Suzuki's time at Animage brought them to the point where they co-founded Studio Ghibli together later on, like a few years down the road. And like, I mean, I already knew most of this stuff just from like watching a few documentaries and just like reading up on Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli and stuff in the past, but like seeing some of that stuff in person and just seeing like the workflow and like how hard everyone was working, like just made something click. And it kind of got me thinking, like, I came up with this idea. A good question for the topic that I want to talk about today is like, how hard should you push yourself to achieve your goals and dreams? And how do you prevent and manage burnout or like a lack of creativity? So before we jump into that topic, I do want to switch over to one thing I want to start doing every episode, where for now I'm kind of thinking of it as like the shout out of the day, or like, you know, the post of the day, or the like content of the day that I want to highlight, like highlighting something, you know. And because I really enjoyed talking about some of my favorite artists from that other podcast episode, but I feel like it's kind of, I mean, I wanted to be true to like what was actually inspiring me as I was growing up, but there's so many people that like inspire me nowadays, and those were just some of like the fundamental like cornerstones of my inspiration growing up. But I felt bad, and I like thought it's not cheesy, but like thought it was like I could have been done better, and I could have addressed more people that people don't really know. And so I think what I want to do is start doing kind of this shout out thing where whether it's Instagram or YouTube or whatever, anything that I find, any person, creator, studio, anything, or if it's a meme that I find funny, like, you know, I'm not going to keep it, I won't keep it limited to just one thing, but I had a good one for the first one that I want to do, and it's a YouTube channel that I've been going to a lot for putting on like while I'm working, or I do it a lot too if I'm in the morning when I wake up and like I'm not ready for like music. I don't want to listen to a podcast or anything. I put on, so it's this channel called Ichigo Soda, which like Ichigo is like strawberry in Japanese, so like strawberry soda, but it's Ichigo Soda, two words. And that's the YouTube channel, and this YouTube channel just does so it's Zelda Breath of the Wild, just, I don't even know what you call it. It's not a time lapse, but it's just a video of like the background scenery of like in-game footage of Breath of the Wild, like at different like kind of unique points, like a different village or like a different mountain or like the fairy shrine or something like that, and then it just has the background music playing with it. So it's almost just like a random in-screen footage background chill music thing, kind of, because it's not really even music. Sometimes it has music in the background because that's what's in game, but sometimes it'll literally just have like the sound effects and like the wind blowing with like a fire crackling and stuff. So I don't know, I just randomly stumbled on this channel. I watch a lot of like Breath of the Wild stuff on YouTube. Got into some of the speedrunning on Breath of the Wild is super sick too. So if you're a speedrunning fan, check out that. It's insane what you can do, and it's crazy seeing like the bugs that people found in that game. But back to the actual point is, so yeah, like I found this YouTube channel and I've been using it a lot for while I'm working too. Like sometimes if I'm listening to a bunch of music all day, because I can be at my desk working from anywhere from like 6 to 12 hours in one day, doing like translation work, typesetting, or like art stuff. So just having that ability to pull that up is super cool, and like there's no bells and whistles. It's literally just like the background scenery of Breath of the Wild with whatever is going on. I don't think there's any editing or manipulation going on from what I can tell. And I don't know, they've got that. I've seen their subscriber count is going up, and I'm super stoked. I want them to get more subscribers. So if you're into that kind of stuff, go follow them. Ichigo Soda. It's a cool YouTube channel. And what I'm going to try and do is like highlight some of the lesser known artists and people that really either inspire me or like that, where it's content that I consume like daily, or like helps me get through work, whatever, anything. Yeah, just give them a little highlight. So yeah, that's the shout out of the day. Ichigo Soda on YouTube. Go check them out. And that's it for catching up with everything. I know that was a really long one today, but let's jump over to the main topic. Okay, so moving on to the actual main topic that I wanted to talk about. How hard should you push yourself to achieve your goals and dreams? And how do you prevent and manage burnout? So the reason I talked so much about the animage ghibli exhibition is, one, I just really loved it and wanted to talk about it and show some of the pictures and stuff, and then two is it's all tied together. So I wanted to give some background with Suzuki and Ghibli and working at Animage and stuff, so that there was context to what I'm talking about now. Because when I was at the exhibition, and it's not just from there, I see this all the time, especially living in Japan. You see people being overworked all the time, and that stereotype, unfortunately, is pretty true, like down to the T. If not, it's worse than people think. And no one really talks about it. And I'm not going to be like the white knight token foreign guy just who wants to like talk about like issues that are happening in Japan. But it's something that, if you're going to work here, you're going to experience to some degree. And it's something that I feel like is important to talk about, because freelancers in general and artists, I think we can push ourselves to the point of like creative burnout and like physical mental burnout. So this got me thinking, like, what's a healthy amount of work to do? How far do you push yourself? When do you stop? When do you take those rest days? When do you need rest? And how do you do it in a healthy way that's going to prevent that creative and physical mental burnout that I was talking about? So again, this is kind of stemming from like seeing some of the stuff at the exhibition. There's this one cool little section where it was a big map of like, and it was kind of like a manga comic drawing of like the editor's room at the animage, and then the caption was like the editor staff room at 1 a.m. and it was literally everyone's there. There's like no, obviously like all the editors and people working are there, and they're all like scrambling around like trying to get it done, and like it's a rush job, and I guess they probably have like publication in like 4 hours or something like that. And like I know, of course, like when you're working in a publication of any kind, like there are going to be deadlines and crunches like that, but I've seen this happen in all kinds of other types of jobs in media. So like, you know, like animators that have had to sleep under their desk because they're making dollars or like less per drawing, per like keyframe, or like whatever in between or whatever drawing they're working on. Like they have to sleep there or like work through the night just to like make enough to buy some like cup ramen for the next day or like for dinner. And I wish I was making that up, but that's been like a pretty, you know, well-known type of thing that happens to a lot of like beginning animators and even people in like the middle and higher ranks too. That's a topic to get into on a different day, but you know, like people getting no sleep and working themselves into burnout until they crash, and it affects their lives really negatively. And like, well, it was really cool. I liked seeing some of that stuff, and like I'm not trying to put any of this like the onus on like animage or ghibli or like anything like that. Like you do what you do, you do what you want to do if you're an artist like that, so there's some amount of accountability there. But aside from like the overworking aspect of it, is like, what if say you are working yourself too hard and you do experience burnout, like what can you do to prevent the burnout? So like one thing you can try and do is like keep things balanced and schedule in the free time that you know you're gonna need. And I think the thing that works best for me is not necessarily having a set day or time where I know I'll be taking time off, but like being super productive and not procrastinating so I can get to the point where I don't feel bad taking some time off. Like, so even if this results in me burning the midnight oil for like 6 days straight, staying up a little bit late, or like waking up late and like just working through lunch, taking a 10-minute lunch and just continue to work, just so I can get everything done. Like if I can get that 7th day off with no guilt, with like a guiltless conscience, then it's worth it to me. And I know that's not going to work for everyone, but I mean, it's like every now and then you have to make an executive decision to force a rest day or call it an early night because you know you're going to need the sleep. But in general, like this is how it works best for me. And like I'm not suggesting you should just like work super duper hard to the point where you like feel like you have to take that day off. This is where it's like definitely a balancing act, because it's like I know my work ability and stuff pretty well now, to the point where it's not, I'm not like working myself into like a physical exhaustion where it's like I have to take a rest day or else I'm gonna die. It's like I'm working myself to the point where like within reason that I know is like, okay, I worked really hard the past 5 or 6 days. Tomorrow is a chill day. I'm gonna binge a show, or like I'm just gonna relax. I'm gonna like maybe just do some art, but like no pressure, low pressure stuff, you know. I'm just making it to the point where like I feel comfortable enough taking that day off and not allowing myself to like get to the point where it's like if I don't take a day off, I'm gonna like not be able to recover, you know. So I want to make that distinction a little bit. And the other point, like that's more for like physical and mental fatigue and burnout there. But like in order to combat art fatigue and like burnout, as most people say, you know, you got to use your rest time wisely and consume content that you know will like inspire and motivate you, but at the same time doesn't trigger that guilty feeling as much. So this can be really tricky, and I'm speaking mostly just specifically for me, like what works for me and how I approach it. Because like for example, if I take a day off, like if I worked really hard for a month and I get 3 days off at the beach, like I'm down, dude. Like don't worry, I don't need to be taking in any content, or like I don't need to be, I'll get inspired by nature or like whatever I'm doing like in itself, so that's fine. But let's say it's just a normal week. I worked 5 days really hard. I get a 6th day off. I know I finished all my other freelance work. I don't have to work on anything in the morning. I have like a full day off, and it's like if I literally am just super lazy, like don't do anything, like just sleep the entire day or something, like I will feel guilty about it. Even if I like really needed that rest, I would probably end up like I mean, yeah, you'd end up getting like too much sleep, and you'd have to deal with that on the other end of it anyways. But what I'm trying to say is basically like, it sucks, but you have to be kind of like proactive and conscious of what you're doing on your rest time as well, because if you don't properly re-energize during the actual rest time, you're gonna be just as tired going back into the work week, or like doing whatever you need to do, or you'll manage, but you're not gonna have that extra energy to do the art thing or like the creative thing that you wanted to do, because you didn't use your time wisely. And like, or maybe you did all you needed to do, and you have a rest day, but then on that day you work extra hard, or like I like for my freelance job, like if I do this chapter, like 2 chapters here, then like I'll make it easier for myself next week. And sometimes that can be a positive thing, but if you're at the point where you really need to rest there, and then you work extra, it's not gonna matter later on when you like save yourself some time, because like I said, you're not going to have the energy or the time or the creative inspiration to actually do the art thing, or the, whatever, the music, whatever you want to do. And it's a tricky balancing act. But, one big thing for me is I need to exercise. I love to exercise during the week. And normally like one day on the weekend, I'll get some runs in. I go running and do a lot of stretching and stuff throughout the day. And, like physical exercise actually recharges me. So I can be tired sometimes afterwards, but normally I'm like re-energized after I go on a run, especially if it's like really cold outside, and I force myself to go on a run, and then I feel nice and like relaxed, and I feel warm, and you get out of that hot shower and you feel like re-energized, and you can like go after it. I think it really helps for like the mental aspect of burnout and like mental fatigue. Going out and exercising helps me so much. Like I can't say it enough how much I really rely on that now as a tool for creativity too, because the thing that I've been able to do, like I'm not a super fast runner or anything, but because of that, I'm just like, I'm not jogging, I'm not jogging, but I'm going a little faster than a jog probably. And one thing that allows me to do though, I'm listening to music the whole time, but I'm really good at like compartmentalizing that and like thinking about things. So if I'm stuck on an idea, or like if I want to just have a brainstorming session, like I can't tell you how many times I've had like a breakthrough on an idea or something that I wanted to make while on a run. And like, even if you have to stop in the middle of your run and like take down a note on your phone or like something like that, or like whenever you get back, like make sure you implement that thing that you wanted to do. It's huge. It's super huge. And I mean, since we're on the topic of like mental and physical fatigue and reaching burnout and stuff like that, I have to bring it up because, physical exercise is so huge. And for me, it's the cardio. It's like going on a run. I go on a 2-mile run most of the time, and that's like the sweet spot for me. Like 1.5 or 2 miles for me is perfect because it doesn't take too much time out of my schedule. And it's enough to like really get the blood going, and you work up a good sweat. But it just helps with my mental clarity so much. And that's another thing that, if you don't implement that into your own schedule, you may not even realize how much it can benefit you until you start doing it. And it's hard to get started, but because like I've been doing this now for like 3 years. I've been running every week at least 2 or 3 times, and it's become like another cornerstone in my routine, my weekly routine and my schedule. So I cannot recommend that enough for everyone. If you're having trouble, if you're finding yourself with low energy, or like reaching that burnout, that physical fatigue burnout point like quicker than you normally do, try going on a run, because it'll help clear your mind, and it'll also help with obviously being physically fit is never a bad thing. But just kind of going off that, like kind of closing things out here, the last thing I wanted to talk about is like, so how hard do you let yourself work then? Because I haven't really answered it in a concrete way, and unfortunately, like, the answer that I've come to is you have to test your own boundaries and come up with an answer for yourself. So, yay, very vague and ambiguous answer, but it's like the best one I can come up with, because no one person's schedule is right for everyone. Like, I can't I can't look at like some billionaire guy who's like, I worked 40 hours a day, or like for 6 days a week I work 38 hours, I sleep 2 hours, and I get up and I do it again, and that's how you become a successful businessman. It's like, bruh, that's not gonna work for everyone. And like, I don't know, promoting like super unhealthy habits like that, I feel like the whole grind mindset, like, don't get me wrong, there's some truth to it, you know. When you see the grind bros on Instagram or like stuff like that, it's like there's always a kernel of truth there. And like, I mean, I've probably sounded like a grind bro throughout this episode. Like, you need the motivation, you need the motivation. It's nice to hear it from people every now and then, but like, do not let somebody, like, I don't know, don't let a Gary Vee type character, no, I'm not hating on Gary Vee, but like, don't let a guy like that like influence you to the point where you're like, I have to be working 60 hours a week or otherwise I'm not like successful as a person. Like, that is definitely not true. If you can get to the point where you're successful and you're doing what you want to do within 20 hours a week, and like you're fine working like that, then dude, all more power to you, because that's amazing. It all just depends on the person and what they want to do. I feel like I personally feel too much self guilt and like beat myself up if I'm not working more. So and I know that's the problem with a lot of artists, so I couldn't really do that. But I'm not about to like work a 70-hour week just to like prove that I'm a hard worker. Like, I don't subscribe to that. That's bullshit. So besides the ambiguous answer there, I do have some like guidelines that I can like pretty confidently say that if you follow will like help you minimize all the fatigue and burnout. And it's basically like, don't let it affect your personal relationships to the point where you ruin them completely. So like, you know, you may have to push people away if you're like, I'm dedicated to this thing and I want to really do it. You may have to like not talk to people for a while. It's never like, it's never good to like push away people from your inner circle. Like, if you're lucky enough, you'll have people who are other like creatives or like people that can like motivate you and like push you on, or like inspire you and kind of like compound the effect of like you working hard to make it even better. And that's the best type of people to be surrounded with. But not everyone has like even if you're like, I have so many friends that are like involved in different creative things, and like unfortunately I don't have like the one person who's like strictly does like a lot of the exact same stuff that I do. So like, I don't have that one person to go to, but I have so many different, like, whether it's like music or like design or like, you know, just creative thinkers, or like what they do is creative, or like creating other YouTube content or stuff like that. Like, I have enough people where it's like really inspiring and motivating, and it was always that way growing up, you know, just being in my group of friends. We were all like skateboarders and artists and musicians and stuff like that. So that was a beautiful thing to be like surrounded by. But try not to let it get to the point where, you know, if you have a wife or like, you know, some of your best friends, and you're just constantly pushing them away to the point where like you're never going to see them again. It's like, you got to remember that like your art and everything is not the be all end all when it comes to like life. You got to remember to stop and smell the roses, go out and grab a beer with your friends every now and then, and like force yourself to go out even if you don't want to. Because when I do that, I always end up, not always, most of the time I end up not regretting it, and I'm so glad I did that. I actually needed that. I realized like I really needed that, so that was great. So yeah, the personal relationships, and like, don't let it affect your health to the point where you're going to be less productive, or worse, like incapable of working. You know, take care of yourself. You don't want to end up in the hospital because you're like pulling all-nighters all week and you get like appendicitis or something, or like kidney stones from stress and shit like that. Like, I've worked some jobs in the past where like the stress literally, I mean, I think that's why I'm losing my hair. I blame the stress. No, but like I've definitely dealt with stress to the point where like it has physically affected me, where I've become ill, or like has wrecked me for like weeks at a time, where it's like really hard to recover. So be very careful of that. It's no joke, you know. Take care of yourself, yes, but like the other caveat here is test the boundaries every now and then. So, you know, like when that muse comes calling, answer the call, baby, because sometimes you have to sacrifice in order to chase after your dreams and goals. Like, this isn't an easy road by any means. but you will have to learn how to balance things, or you will suffer the consequences. But either way, try to remember, at the end of the day, no matter what, try to remember the main reason you started doing it all in the first place. I was watching this clip. It was like an interview with David Bowie, R.I.P. And he was talking about, he said, no matter how big or successful you are, or how hard you may be failing at something, so the reverse is also true, remember the calling that brought you to your craft in the first place, because you inherently knew that against all odds, you needed to create. There was no if, ands, or buts about it. You were just acting on the incessant need coming from your own imagination and your own very body willing you to start creating and making things. And that, my friends, is a beautiful sentiment that we should all try not to forget. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. And I hope this was helpful in any way. I had a lot of fun talking about it. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode of Doodle Talk. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.